Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we are cracking open something that seems really counterintuitive when you think about extreme wealth. We're going deep on the personal finance habits of a man who could, literally pave his driveway with cash if he wanted to. Warren Buffett.
And what's so fascinating here is we're not even talking about the huge, complex investment strategies. We're looking at the everyday saving philosophy of the Oracle of Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
It's this great paradox, right?
Yeah.
Despite all that wealth, he still follows these really strict rules. He values every single dollar.
Exactly. And that proves it's about discipline, not necessity.
Right, it's the principle of the thing.
So for you, our mission today is kind of a shortcut. We want to quickly pull out his 7 surprisingly down-to-earth rules for managing money. We're going to see how this billionaire saves on everything from his car to his lunch, and more importantly, how you can apply that same kind of thinking to your own budget without, feeling like you're missing out.
It's about applying that billionaire logic to daily life. So let's start with how he actually decides what to buy. His rules around strategic purchasing, he doesn't just shop. He's basically applying an investor's test to every single purchase.
That's the perfect way to put it. And the first part of that test is focus on value. The sources make it so clear. He completely ignores designer names, status symbols, that whole premium for something being new.
Oh, absolutely. He's all about utility and long-term savings. The famous story about his cars illustrates this perfectly. He's been known to buy vehicles that are just, slightly damaged.
Right, not totaled or anything, but maybe they have some scratches or dents.
Exactly. And then he just has them repaired.
So let's break that down. He's
Yeah.
getting a perfectly good car for way less than a new one off the lot. He's basically bypassing that huge depreciation hit that every...
The second you drive it off the lot, that new car smell costs you, what, 10, 20% of the value instantly.
So he's buying the utility, the transportation, at a massive discount. He's only paying for the necessary repair, not the emotional price of new.
Precisely. He calculates the true cost of the asset, not the market price.
But I have to ask, for most of us, buying everyday things is value, just another word for cheap. Where does he draw that line between a good deal and just a poor quality product that's not going to last?
And that is the critical distinction. That takes us straight to his next core idea, which is seek quality over quantity. This is so important. Buffett is not about buying junk just because the price is low.
It's amazing how he just maps his investing rules right onto his shocking list.
It's a perfect one-to-one. Think about his most famous quote from his 1989 letter to shareholders. He wrote, "It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price."
Okay, so let's translate that for, the person in the grocery store. It means you have to avoid that low-quality product, even if it has the best price sticker on it.
Exactly. Because if that $20 item falls apart in 6 months and you have to buy a $40 replacement,
It wasn't a bargain. It was just a bad investment with extra steps.
you got it. You're trading a short-term thrill for long-term endurance. It's better to pay a fair price for something that lasts 5 years.
That makes total sense. So once you're focused on finding high-quality, high-value stuff, the next step is just getting the best deal on it. Which brings us to rule number 7. Take advantage of sales.
Even a man who could buy the entire store still loves a good markdown. There's that great quote from him, "Whether we're talking about stocks or socks, I like buying quality merchandise when it is marked down."
That's the whole strategy in a nutshell, isn't it? You find high-value, high-quality items, and then you wait. You buy them when they're on sale.
It's the intersection of being discerning and being patient. And that patience is what stops you from making impulse purchases, which are, a huge drain on most people's budgets.
Okay, let's move on. Section 2 gets into some really creative and consistent habits. This is where the stories get surprisingly domestic.
Yet these really show his commitment to being resourceful in small, repeatable ways. Let's start with get creative. This is all about using what you have or what's available in your community instead of just buying something new.
The story about his first child is it's amazing. It shows how deep this mindset goes. When his first kid was born, he didn't run out and buy a fancy bassinet.
That's right. The sources say he just took a dresser drawer and converted it into a bassinet. Perfectly safe, perfectly functional.
And I think the lesson there isn't that you have to start, building your own furniture. It's about applying that creative mindset before you click buy now on something new.
You leverage modern resources. Check out local buy nothing groups, look on Facebook Marketplace. You can often find what you need for free or for a tiny fraction of the retail price. It's about finding a solution, not just buying one.
And if we go from big items like furniture down to the smallest possible transaction, we get to the rule that I think shocks everyone the most.
You have to be talking about clip coupons. This is the real aha moment because it just seems to fly in the face of how a billionaire should value his time.
It's that story, right? The one Bill Gates and his ex-wife Melinda told. They were traveling with Buffett in Hong Kong, and they stop at a McDonald's for lunch.
Yeah, and when it's time to pay, Buffett reaches into his pocket and
Mhm.
pulls out a handful of coupons.
A billionaire using coupons for McDonald's? It's incredible, but it raises that critical question. For a man whose time is worth millions, a saving 50 cents on a Big Mac, really an efficient use of that time.
That is the deep dive question, isn't it? Is this just a cute story or is it a real rule? Because most financial advice would tell you to not waste time on tiny savings.
So what's the real insight here?
It's not about the 50 cents. It's about the consistency. This isn't about the return on his time in that moment. It's about reinforcing the financial discipline that governs his entire life.
So if he lets the small things slide, he might lose the mental sharpness for the big things.
Exactly. It's like financial muscle memory. He's training his brain to always prioritize value, no matter how small the transaction.
It's the core idea of compounding, but applied to disciplined behavior, not just to money.
It's a habit,
Hmm.
a loop that ensures he never pays more for something than he absolutely has to.
Okay, let's shift to our final section. This is less about the transaction itself and more about the behaviors, the mindset of moderation that guides his life.
Yeah, this is where we see how his frugality really shapes his daily routine, starting with this almost radical simplicity.
And that's limit nights out.
Yeah.
The man has enough money to eat at the best restaurants in the world every single night, but he doesn't. He usually stays in and eats a very, very simple diet.
The simplicity is everything. In his biography, The Snowball, he's quoted as saying, "I like eating the same thing over and over and over again." He
Mhm.
said, "I could eat a ham sandwich every day for 50 days in a row for breakfast."
50 days? That sounds a little extreme, but there's a powerful idea there beyond just saving money on food.
Oh, absolutely. This rule is fundamentally about minimizing decision fatigue. Think about all the small, high-effort decisions involved in going out. Where to go, what to order, how much to tip.
He's preserving his cognitive energy. He's making sure his best thinking is saved for his billion-dollar investments.
Not for choosing between the chicken or the fish.
Yeah.
Exactly. So for you, the application is to look at where you're spending mental energy and money on these low-value, recurring decisions.
Like constant food delivery or expensive daily coffee runs.
Right. Budgeting means being moderate in those high-effort, high-cost areas.
And that idea of simplicity and sticking to what works, it ties perfectly into the final rule. Don't chase trends.
This connects directly back to his core investment philosophy. Fads don't last. They're expensive, and the payoff is usually short-lived.
It's like paying a social premium just to be part of a current trend, like a ridiculously expensive water bottle or some gadget that's all over social media.
And he famously avoided that during the big investment fads, like the tech bubble in 1999. He wrote that the key isn't guessing how an industry will change society, but determining the competitive advantage of a given company.
He's always looking for that sustainable, enduring value, not the flavor of the month.
And that applies perfectly to the things you buy. Avoid the overpriced trendy stuff. Stick to affordable, tried-and-true classics that actually work. Trends fade. Quality and utility endure.
So this whole deep dive really shows that Buffett's rules aren't some kind of big secret. They're just the consistent application of sound, long-term valuation principles to, well, every part of his life. He's not just a great investor, he's an incredibly well-informed, disciplined consumer.
His frugality is just a byproduct of that discipline, the realization that value is the only thing worth paying for. He protects his personal capital just as fiercely as he protects his portfolio.
So, as we wrap up, we want to leave you with one last thought that kind of ties this all together. If Buffett uses the same criteria to judge a major company as he does to judge a pair of socks, you should think about where you might be paying a premium for a fair product.
Just because you failed to get creative or didn't have the patience to wait for a sale. So you have to ask yourself, am I applying my best, most rigorous financial thinking only to those huge, infrequent investments like a house or my retirement fund?
Or are you applying it to the small, repeated daily decisions? Because cumulatively, those are the ones that actually drain your budget the most.
The biggest returns often come from the discipline you apply to the small transactions you make every single day.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you next time.